So we're going to jump right on in. We're going to go through our first excerpt. And the first excerpt is men and women equals apples and oranges. So basically, I just want to first share with you that there is a distinct difference between men and women. This is obvious, but more so indeed rather than in our physical traits. Men and women are so completely different that it's amazing that we can even coexist without serious problems. We are really that different. And the key in making a relationship work and keeping it harmonious is the understanding of the other party. Women want one thing and men want something completely different. So most issues arise in relationships because there is a severe lack of understanding in the opposite sex and how they are wired. This information may seem boring to you, but I can assure you that it will lay the foundation for the information that's to come. So first things first, the most simple of all the differences is men think with a different side of the brain than women. Very simple, very easy. We do not think with the same side of the brain. Men think more with one side of the brain, while women tend to go back and forth between both sides of the brain, allowing them a broader view of spectrums. The fact that men usually think with one side of the brain allows them to focus and see issues differently. They are able to compartmentalize while women link everything together. Now, compartmentalization is very distinct. Men can put things in a certain category and leave it there, while women kind of seem to mesh everything together. This can cause issues in itself. A man can have an argument with his wife and go to work and function effectively and efficiently as if nothing has just happened. They are totally able to separate what happened at home from what they're able to do outside. In his mind, this is totally separate, and he will deal with his issues at home when he gets back home. A woman will have an argument with her husband and go to work. She won't be as efficient. She won't be as effective. It's going to toil on her. It's going to weigh on her all day. She might not be as happy. She might not be as uplifting. She might not be as, smiley or happy because she's thinking about what has gone on for her and her household. She might be a little bit off her game, and this is normal for women. We're not the same. So she can't compartmentalize as easy as a male can. Her mind is thinking about work and her problems at home at the same time, which is unfortunate. The fact that a man can shut down one part of his thought process to pick up another will end up causing you, his significant other, to believe that he doesn't care. Oh my God, we just had this huge argument and he just went to work and he didn't even act like he cared. That's not what it means. It just means that he was able to shut that argument down and go out into the world and be efficient in the world as well. His brain is just wired differently, and it causes us to handle issues in a completely different manner. I'm going to give an example of myself. I can remember so vividly how my husband and I would have like a little issue or like a little tiff or like a little argument. And I would be so distraught and upset and just like, oh my God, what in the world is happening? And I could hear him laughing downstairs with his friends as though nothing just happened. Like he's talking, yeah, because oh my God, that used to make me so angry. Like, how are you downstairs laughing when we're going through this humongous issue? It affected them, but it just affected them in a different manner. And that's all, that there is to it. It's not personal. It's nothing against you specifically. It really just means that he was able to compartmentalize, take it, put it in the back, and do whatever he needed in the forefront. I liken women to men. Women and men to apples and oranges because they are completely equal and opposite. We both have our strong points, absolutely, and we both have our weak points. But the weaknesses and strengths of men and women actually complement one another if we allow them to, as opposed to competing with one another. And we're going to get more into that later. The second difference is that men and women differ emotionally. Women fluctuate up and down in our emotional state, while men tend to have an even keel as it relates to their emotions. This is why they tend to think we're crazy. They will never understand the emotional ups and downs that we go through over the course of a month. And it is up to us to reel our emotions in and not going over the edge when we feel emotional. And just understand that our PMS or whatever it is that we're going through, it's going to pass. Just give it a couple days. We differ as it comes to communication. Men are headliners. Women are detailed. Most men will tell you a story and they'll share with you what happened over the course of their day. And they will only offer the pertinent information, and they're going to leave the majorities of the details out completely. That's what they do. They're going to come home. They're going to be like, how's your day at work? Oh, yeah, it was good. I mean, I did this, I did that. Yeah, it was good. And they're on to the next thing. They're not being deceptive. And I know that, some women and their insecurities will think that men are being deceptive when they're not being as detailed. But that's not really what it is. They're just not wired to be as detailed as women are as it relates to communication. Women are completely opposite. We're going to tell you every detail of the story. We want input. We're going to ask what you think about it, and we're going to also add how we feel about it. We're going to tell you what happened. We're going to give you names, dates, times, and that's just what we do. We're very, very open about our communication. My father used to always say that if communication was like a newspaper, that men are the headline and women are the small print. And I'm sure how you can see that this will begin to be a cause for issues in the long run for your relationship. A woman wants and longs for her mate to share with her, and a man truly only wants the facts and the important stuff, and they can care less about the fluff in between. So we're going to get more into that later, how communication affects your relationship. Another major difference is men are stimulated visually, while a woman is stimulated mentally. As it relates to sex and intimacy, a man needs to see something he likes. He needs to see it. A woman likes to see as well. Don't get me wrong, because I could be like that. Listen, if you don't look good, I don't know. But that's more of a male trait. It's more of a masculine trait. But we are more stimulated if our mind and our hearts are stimulated. So it is important to remain visually stimulating to your mate or your husband as it comes to keeping a man's attention. Yes, they love you. Yes, they respect you. But you also need to give them something to look at that locks in their mind and replays over and over again in their head, honey. You want to look good. You want to know when you walk out that door for work or whatever it is that he saw how you looked, and that image replays for him all day. Again, there are things that a man needs to do as well, but for now, this book is about a woman's role in her relationship. The main difference between men and women is the difference in energy, and this is the most important thing to understand. As it comes to relationships, there's always going to be a masculine and a feminine energy in every relationship that we take part in, whether it's husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, mother, daughter, father, son, best friends, whatever it is that you are, a coworker, boss, employee, employer, there's always going to be a masculine and a feminine energy in every relationship. And there's always going to be one of the two energies present no matter what the dynamic of the relationship is. So for the sake of simplicity, I will just talk about male and female for the time being. But there is a dynamic between male and female because there is a universal law at work here. It's the law of duality, equal and opposite. Case in point, up and down, hot and cold, water and fire, north and south, yin and yang. These are all dualities. Men and women, they're equal, again, and opposite, and neither is better than the other, just different. And we need to use our differences, as I said before, to complement one another as opposed to competing with one another. In a relationship, there will always be a leader and a follower, a masculine and a feminine role. So the next point is very, very important for you to grasp. This is going to lay the foundation for everything that's to come. Understand, this is for you, women, strong, independent women. I could do my own thing. Yeah, we all can. I get it. But understand this. If you take on a masculine role in your relationship, expect your significant other to take on the feminine role. There cannot be two of the same energies in one place. There will always be one or the other. So if you're in a dominant masculine role, like you call the shots, you pay all the bills, you make all the major decisions without consulting him, you cannot expect him to step up and take on the masculine role and be the man you need him to be when it is convenient for you. Oops, it's tight, but it's right. I'm sorry. So if you want to be that strong, I can do this by myself and I do everything, then when the time comes when you really need him, expect him to not actually step up because he's already seen you step up for yourself so many times. He doesn't need to step up for you. You've actively put him in the feminine role. And if this is the case in your relationship, stop this behavior and stop it right now. Don't do it. Stop it and get your energies to get back in order. So in order for him to be the man, you have to step down and allow him to be that man. It is killing your relationship. Trust me when I tell you. There is nothing worse than being in a relationship where the roles are reversed, but neither party is actually really happy about it. Let's be real. I mean, no woman really likes doing what men do. I mean, let's just keep it real. Let's just keep it 100. Can we do it? Absolutely. But no woman really wants to do it. Who really wants to step up and be the head of a household? Who really wants to go out and take out trash? Or who really wants to be the head and make sure everything is all together and all set? No, I mean, we want to sit back and we want to just be secure. We want to, we want them to take the lead role. We want to be loved. We want to feel cared for. We want to feel feminine. And we want to rest our cares on the broad shoulders of a man. I mean, but if you cannot express vulnerability and you want to prove to him that you are just as strong as he is, don't be surprised when he's not jumping at the opportunity to save the day for you. I'm just saying. If you're that strong, if you're that independent, if you're that headstrong and I don't need anybody, then when he doesn't jump to your rescue, you can't be mad. I mean, you just can't. You're going to have to deal with these things and deal with your inner man, work on your submission, work on your vulnerability level, work on your insecurities, because really that's what it is. The need for control stems from insecurity. It stems from being afraid. It stems from being afraid that if I don't step up, he won't. If I don't make sure this gets done, he won't do it. So you honestly have to really step back and utilize your faith, because that's what will allow you to remain in that feminine role. There's a scripture in the Bible that talks about that in 1 Peter, I think it is. But when you can step back, your man can actually step up. I'm not being hard on you. I'm really not trying to be hard on you. I'm just simply stating the facts. In a relationship, there should be a leader and a follower. Oh God, don't kill me. I know this may sound old school, but I can assure you that it works. Men have an innate nature on the inside of them. It is inbred to provide and protect their homes and their families. That's inbred inside of them. And women have an innate nature to love, nurture, and care for their homes and their families. And these two natures are very different. So we as women have been conditioned to working and providing like men do, but that is not our instinct as women. This is learned behavior from society and the fall of the economy. Now, I mean, it's hard to be in a household where only one person works, because the way the economy is, you'd be broke. You wouldn't have anything. Unless your husband is some millionaire or making thousands of dollars a month, the odds of you being able to stay home and only take care of the home is slim to none. So that's why I say this is learned behavior, and we were conditioned to do that because we have to with the fall of the economy. But back to my original point, there cannot be two leaders, or your personal kingdom is going to always be divided. And when I say your personal kingdom, I mean your household. Your personal little kingdom, your household, your kids, whoever falls under that, it's going to be divided if there's two leaders. So there should be a unified vision put in place by the two of you, with one leading and the other following. So this is not to say that the follower doesn't have any say so. So don't get me wrong and say, well, so he gets to make all decisions. I don't get to say nothing. No, that's not what I'm saying. There will be a unified vision. There always will be a unified vision, but one has to lead it and one has to follow. One has to do the big things and one has to do the little things to make sure that the big vision functions together as a whole. This is just a dynamic, and you have to kind of do what works for you and your household, but admit it. If you're going to take this class, if you picked up this book, then what you may be doing is not working so well. So just try something different. It might work for you. I know it may sound like ancient ages or a blast from the past, but I can assure you that this dynamic works effectively. What we are talking about here is energy. The man is the active yang, fire energy, and the woman is the subtle, cool, yin, water energy. So some women have more masculine energy than usual, and it has to be in balance. And there are some men that may have more feminine energy, and this has to be put in balance as well. I know for me, I can have a tendency to have a masculine energy. It's a part of who I am. It's a part of my personality type. It's a part of my astrology sign. I'm all about my business. I can take an emotional situation and turn it into business, and it's not always a good thing. But when I get around an active masculine male, oh, you better believe that masculine energy turns feminine really, really, really quickly. But it has to be the right kind of male. Otherwise, my masculine energy might actually take over, and I will run a feminine man away, or a man that's not as masculine away, because I'll just run over him. So, but I work on that. I have to learn to hone that down and learn to really trust and submit and be okay with the plan, and just understand that if I put this in God's hands, that I chose this man to lead this household. This was my decision. So once I made this decision, I have to trust God that this was what I did. This is what I'm supposed to do. So now I just have to rest and let it go forward as it's going to go forward. Understand that when we're talking about energy, that even in a homosexual relationship, there's still masculine and feminine energy. This is without exception. So you're not going to find an exception to this rule. You're going to find this law at work in all of your relationships. The energies will always be present. You may have two dominant or predominantly masculine energies, even amongst women, but one will end up taking on the cooler role and become more feminine as long as it's in the presence of the other. So understand that even if you have two friends and you both have masculine energy, one is going to still turn more feminine around the stronger one. So that's just how it works. I do know some women, they will remain nameless for the sake of discretion, that just can't turn off their masculine energy in the presence of a predominantly masculine male. And when you can't do that, understand that he's not going to stay around, because he's not going to allow his energy to turn feminine around you. So there are some men that just because you're masculine, it'll turn them feminine because they'll stay around you. But there's some predominantly masculine men that even if you are masculine, they're not going to turn feminine. They're just going to choose not to be around you. They're going to choose to be where they are masculine. He's not going to enjoy being in your company. He's not going to enjoy being around you, and not as a romantic partner or anything else. It's not going to work for you. This could be your problem right here as it comes to relating to a man. And if so, great. Then you can stop listening right here because you found your answer. However, this is very, very important. Men may act like they want a super independent woman, and I want my woman to do this and do that, and she's just strong, and she takes over this and she does this. But they do not like when that independence overrides their manhood. They don't like that. So you can be independent. You could be, a businesswoman, do all that. But when that independence starts to override their masculinity and their manhood, they're not around for that. It is perfectly okay for you to be successful, make great money, and have all of your ducks in a row. But when your man comes around, you want to shift that energy to a flowing, loving, vulnerable, sensual energy so that he continues to feel like he is a man around you. No man wants to date another man if that's not what he's looking for. If he's not homosexual, he doesn't want to date another man. So don't think that it's so cool to act masculine or to be so controlling, because a man is not going to want to hang around that. He's not going to want to be interested in it romantically. I mean, you might be cool. You might get friend zoned. Yeah, that's very possible. But he's not going to want to be around you as a romantic interest. They don't want to compete with you for their manhood. They would rather just go elsewhere and experience that feeling with someone else. If you have not been successful in times past as it comes to relationships, check your masculinity radar and make sure that it is not more overpowering than a man's. And that is the end. That's the best that I can tell you for today. Understand, check your masculinity, check your control factor, check your energy around a man. Check if you're always talking in a certain kind of voice, or if you're just trying to run everything, or if you're not consulting him about important decisions as it relates to the house or the kids. These are things that men detest, and it causes them to feel disrespected. It causes their manhood to be compromised. So if I have not helped you with anything else, please, 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 just listen to this. Check your masculinity radar and tone it down a bit if need be. All right? That's it for today, and thank you so much for listening, and there's more to come.